Welcome to my new plot. We've decided to do it kind of no dig, so just compost on top of cardboard and wood chip on top of cardboard as well to make the paths. So it's really tidied it up, and it was a very muddy site. This is a finished sort of article, so I'm ready to plant in here. I think I'm ready to plant, apart from a few weeds that have come through. So having a few problems with a few perennial weeds coming through, as you'll see a bit later on in the video. Here's looking down towards the shed. So it's not a huge area. It's about 50 by 25, and it's a small plot. This is plot number 2, so I've got another plot you may have seen in earlier videos. This is how it looked kind of in the beginning. It was covered with really high dock weeds and a lot of perennial ranunculus, so creeping buttercup and some stinging nettles and a lot of grass that had grown in there, so it'd been fairly overgrown. So it's quite a challenging site, I guess, for the first time no digger, just to see what happens to the weeds when we just use the cardboard and then really dense layer, so probably 20 centimeters of compost on top, and I just kept adding to it, thinking maybe I hadn't put enough on there. So it's a bit of trial and error, so totally on my part, because I really haven't done this before. Here's the first section, so we just carried on with that. This was all homemade compost, which I ran out of fairly quickly because, yes, it does take up a lot, but marked the paths out first with some string and some rods, just so I knew exactly where I was going with the edge of the compost, and just to keep things a little bit straight and make it a bit easier, really, and just to really tidy it up, because it is an oblong site. It wasn't anything unusual about it. Shed was already there. Here you can see more of the weeds coming through, and that black plastic area is where my father's going to have his area, and he's not going to use no dig, he's going to dig. Here's close up. So these are the 3 smaller, skinnier borders. They're about 1 meter wide, and so far so good. No weeds have come through on this area. There wasn't so many. I dug all the dock out, so it was really long tap roots. So I thought, well, that's going to come up straight away, and I did leave one in, and one came straight through the cardboard about 2 weeks after I put it down. So it really was strong growth. So I was glad of that. You can see how the neatened up edges, and my father started to dig there. So this one is a long border. We're going to have a closer look in a moment, because you'll see that I keep inspecting it every couple of days. I just come down. This area is covered here because I did have some really dense areas of weed there, so I just thought cover that a bit with some black plastic after I'd finished. But it's a lovely country spot. We're at the top, so it's on a gentle slope, not my area, but going down to the hedge where the edge of the allotment plot are. But there's only about 20-25 plots here. And it's really friendly. You hardly see anybody, so you've got the place to yourself, really. This is a new compost bin, so all out of pallets that have been deconstructed and reconstructed. The front bay just lifts out, all the slats just lift out, so you can just add them as you start building up. And I will line these areas with some cardboard to keep it warm and to just stop the wood from rotting so much. So yeah, looking forward. I think it's important to have, like, I've got 3 bays in the other plot, but this one's a bit smaller, and I think it's really important. I'm sure I could easily fill the 2 bays that are here, and I would just have to turn it differently or arrange it a little bit differently, because the 3 bays always allow you one to have empty when you're turning. Okay, looking inside, yeah, plenty of room, yeah, and we're going back. There's through the gate to the other plot, so it's really quite relaxed here. No one can drive in here. There's a really steep ramp, and so it's the fumes. There's no fumes from traffic or anything. It's just backing onto countryside. Have a look here. You'll see, if you look when I get close up, that there are some creeping buttercup leaves coming through. Now, I had no idea what to do about these. I just thought, okay, so I've heard that if you keep pulling them up, you will weaken the plant. They have got a really big root system, like a really mesh root system at the bottom, so they're not easy to pull up with your fingers from the whole root out, and the cardboard is still in place underneath here, so I didn't want to break through the cardboard because it is trying, stopping the other roots coming through. So I wasn't sure what I was meant to do, but I just keep coming down, pulling leaves as I find them. The worst ones are right where the edge of the path meets, although I did overlap the cardboard, path to border and border to path. That seems to be the area that they seem to be creeping through a little bit there, where maybe the cardboard is bent down over and it's not so strong. But we'll just keep going with that and see what happens when the warmer weather comes and things start to grow a little bit quicker. But so far I'm feeling confident because it started off, quite early in the year, so the cardboard's been down for quite a while there now. Just moving into my first plot to the fruit cage, just have a little look around here, a little tour to see how everything is coming on. You can see the blackcurrant bushes are coming into bud. Yep, nice. And I cut a lot of wood out of these. They were old bushes that were here already when I took over the plot last year. So the new plot is this last October 22, and I'm just starting to grow things this year. And the old plot was October 21, so it's all very new to me really. There's a little cabbage in there. Covered it with the Enviro mesh. First time I've used that too, so just to stop, keep a little bit of the wind off. Excuse the light, but it is dusk and I'm really glad to be out here. 5:45 this was in the evening, 19th of February, and it's great to have some lighter evenings coming through now. You've got to enjoy them while they're here. Here's one of my little calettes, so calets. They've been really tasty, so much milder than sprouts, and the plants have been more prolific than my Brussels sprouts, so we'll definitely grow those again. And they're very easy, less bugs, less predators. A bit of some skinny celery from last year. I've overwintered it, just see what happens in that little raised bed there. I might have to divide it up a little bit to get some bigger ones. And you're just looking at the buds coming on my blueberry bushes. And I've got 2 blueberry bushes. They were quite old. I've trimmed them up. I've fed them, and with the sulfate of potash and some mulch and stuff. So I've got one that's got a big blueberry on there and one that's got a small blueberry on there, and 2 bushes really. They were so prolific. Here's a little tour of my onion bed. I've planted a mixture this year. We're going to have some onions from sets, which are already in the ground and up. It's what you're looking at now. And there's my new rhubarb, because the other one rotted out. It never came to anything last year after when we transplanted it from my father's old allotment to this one. So we're going to try again with that new one. But it looks good so far. Slugs haven't got to that part yet. Down here we're moving through a few more onion sets, but I have grown onions from seed. They're in the greenhouse at the moment and they're up. I germinated them indoors and then they're up. So this is the garlic. We've got garlic, elephant garlic, and prepared bulbs of garlic, and just some store-bought garlic. So I'm just doing a bit of a trial to see what comes best. And here's my garlic row. So yeah, I mean it was very successful last year, and I just wanted to grow some more to see me through the winter. Back to indoors in the house, just a little bit of under the grow lights here. A few little seedlings, got a few brassicas, a few lettuce that have just come up this week, and so I'm growing them on a little bit. Most of them have gone out to the greenhouse until there's a really heavy frost. Here are the peppers, Dolce de España, most of these are. And we've got 2 types of chilies. I've just narrowed it down to 2 types of chilies this year. That's Dolce de España. So the Scotch bonnet, the Scotch bonnet, I call it the squat one because it's like a little flying saucer, and there's a round one, a longer one as well. So I'm not quite sure of exactly what types they are, but they're Scotch bonnet, they're hot and they're good. They're super good for everything. Some little flower sets, so there's my salvias, and they're up. They were tiny seeds, but they're doing okay. And these little tiny seeds you're looking at now are Nicotiana sylvestris. It's the white one, Nicotiana, and they look like they're just about catching on, so hopefully they will have some of those, but they are so tiny. Here's the morning glory. I grew some red morning glory so I can just mix them in with my climbers at home and maybe make a kind of wigwam or grow them up the fence of the allotment. So there's 3, 6, 9, 12 of those, so they'll be big. You're looking at the aubergines. Got two types of aubergine: a Black Beauty and another one which is the purple long. And I think it's like yeah, Italian. I think that's how it's Italian one anyway, purple long one. I keep these ones inside the. I keep these ones inside of the under the grow lights and in the propagator because they are just a little bit smaller. So I just find that with a bit of bottom heat, when they're a bit small, I bring them on and they really come on so much better when they're actually having some bottom heat in there. But these are more peppers and chilies going on in there. But that's really about all. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you like the tour and see how the weeds do in the new dig border a bit later on in the year.